Doha, Qatar, September 10, 2025. The political winds of the Gulf shifted dramatically on Wednesday as the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, arrived in Doha for talks with Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. His visit came less than 24 hours after Israeli strikes rattled Qatar's capital, killing senior figures of the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas and pushing the region into yet another moment of high tension. The red carpet reception at Hamad International Airport was as much about optics as it was about diplomacy. Sheikh Tamim, flanked by top Qatari officials, personally greeted Sheikh Mohammed on the tarmac. Images broadcast from the scene showed the two leaders shaking hands warmly before walking side by side as honor guards stood at attention. For Doha, this was a statement of resilience after the shock of foreign strikes. For Abu Dhabi, it marked a rare and symbolic show of solidarity in a Gulf still fractured by deep divisions. The delegation accompanying Sheikh Mohammed was equally notable. Dubai Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and the UAE's powerful national security advisor Sheikh Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan were part of the visiting entourage. Their presence underscored that this was no ceremonial trip, but a mission carrying weight across multiple layers of Emirati decision-making, security, political and economic. The timing could not have been more delicate. On Tuesday night, Israeli warplanes carried out targeted strikes in Doha, claiming they had struck Hamas political operatives. The attack left several senior Hamas leaders dead, sending shockwaves through the Arab world. Qatar, which has long hosted Hamas's political bureau, condemned the strikes as a blatant violation of its sovereignty and an act of escalation against the state itself. Though both Israel and Hamas have clashed for years across Gaza, the extension of hostilities into Doha marked a significant departure. It directly struck at the Gulf's self-declared neutrality, threatening to drag regional actors deeper into the fray. Analysts in the region immediately began speculating whether Qatar's close ties to Hamas were behind the strikes, or whether Tel Aviv sought to signal a warning to Doha's foreign policy stance. Qatar's Emir has not minced words in the aftermath. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani said, Qatar strongly condemns this act of aggression and reaffirms that its sovereignty will never be compromised. His remarks, delivered in an emergency address carried live on national television, captured both defiance and determination to resist external pressure. Meanwhile, Hamas itself has vowed retaliation. A spokesman for the group issued a statement declaring that the strike in Doha would not go unanswered. The Hamas spokesman said, "This crime committed in the heart of Qatar is a declaration of war that will face resistance." The UAE president's trip to Doha, therefore, was more than a courtesy call. It was a carefully choreographed message at a critical juncture. Just a few years ago, Qatar and the UAE were on opposing ends of a Gulf rift that saw embassies shuttered and rhetoric escalate. Though relations were officially restored in 2021, mistrust lingered between Doha and Abu Dhabi, particularly over their competing visions for the wider Middle East. Now, however, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed's presence in Doha signals something different. Regional stability, threatened by Israel's expansion of conflict into the Gulf, appears to have drawn rivals back into pragmatic alignment. Both countries know that the fallout from Tuesday's strikes could be catastrophic if left unchecked, not only for Palestinian politics, but for Gulf security as a whole. Sheikh Mohammed's arrival was quiet but deliberate. State media refrained from heavy commentary, sticking instead to images of the leaders exchanging handshakes and entering a black convoy vehicle. Yet the subtlety belied the weight of the moment. Qatar's honor guard lined the runway, and senior officials clustered around as cameras flashed. This was history being documented in real time. Behind closed doors, sources suggest discussions were set to focus on three urgent themes: security coordination. With Qatar now directly struck by Israeli jets, the Gulf states must re-evaluate their defensive strategies. The attack on Hamas leaders in Doha complicates the already fragile mediation role Qatar has sought to play in the Israel-Palestine conflict. The Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, faces pressure to present a unified front, though divisions persist over relations with Israel and Iran. Sheikh Tamim is expected to push for a strong joint statement condemning Israel's strikes. Whether the UAE, which normalized relations with Israel in 2020 under the Abraham Accords, will agree to such language remains to be seen. What is clear is that the two leaders recognise the danger of escalation spilling into their own capitals. In his televised remarks prior to the meeting, Sheikh Mohammed hinted at caution rather than confrontation. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed said, "The stability of the Gulf is our collective responsibility, and dialogue remains our strongest shield." Such words reflect Abu Dhabi's pragmatic balancing act, affirming solidarity with Doha without burning bridges with Tel Aviv. For Qatar, however, the stakes feel existential. Hosting Hamas was always a risky gambit, but Tuesday's airstrikes brought the risk crashing down in literal form. The international community has been quick to respond. Washington urged restraint on all sides, while European capitals expressed concern about the legality of Israel's strike. Tehran, unsurprisingly, condemned the attack, framing it as evidence of Western complicity. Meanwhile, ordinary Qataris have reacted with shock and anger. Social media has been flooded with posts demanding accountability and protection. The sight of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed walking alongside Sheikh Tamim was quickly shared online, with many hailing it as a moment of Arab unity amid crisis. Whether that unity holds will depend on what emerges from the private talks now unfolding in Doha. For now, the symbolism is unmistakable. The leaders of two Gulf states, once estranged, standing shoulder to shoulder in the face of a dangerous escalation.